Coach, how we doing?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
All right, you ready to go? All
I am.
right, John Finneran, you're up first. Go ahead.
Okay, morning, Brian.
Good morning.
I wonder if you can give us an update, anything new on Hamilton and White's situations? And my second question for you could you tell us a little bit about the differences that you might see between Howell and Armstrong, other than the fact that they throw differently with different arms? And does that create a little bit of a problem for you or concern when you start preparing for them?
Yeah. All right. Let me wade through this. Kyle Hamilton is not ready to play, and so let me just be really clear on this because I think there's a bunch of narratives out there about Kyle. Kyle is not cleared medically to play, and so once he's cleared medically to play, he has every intention of playing. He just hasn't been cleared yet. So once our doctors give him the clearance, he's done everything that we've asked him to do. So I just want to make sure it's clear that this isn't a young man that doesn't want to play, that he's protecting himself for the NFL draft or a bunch of that stuff. Here's a guy that's in the weight room. He's doing all the things that an engaged captain of our football team would do, but he's just not cleared right now. He's dealing with an injury that takes time, and it's taken more time. And like I said, when our medical people clear him, he'll be back. That just hasn't been the case. So I just wanted to be really clear as to what his situation is, so we don't have false narratives out there about what his intention is. And he's been a great teammate, a great captain. We're really pleased with his engagement and everything that he's doing. So I hope that's crystal clear to everybody so we can move forward there. Drew, dealing with a sore knee with a torn PCL. He's practiced this week. And the expectations is that he'd be available to play this weekend. When you talk about the similarities or dissimilarities, if you will, between the two quarterbacks, they're both tough competitors. I think Sam Howell, was born to be a quarterback. Armstrong has turned himself into being a great quarterback. And by his hard work and just his competitive spirit, he's put himself in an elite category. So I just think that, they both just have great arm talent. They're both, great runners of the football. They're both tough. You're defending more than just them. You're defending, the weapons that they have. And Virginia has a lot of weapons. I would say this, just to finish the story about the two of them, Virginia's got some of the weapons that Sam had last year, a lot more versatility in terms of, the number of guys that, Brennan can get the ball to. So both really tough competitors, both have arm talent, both are winners, and both are tough to defend.
Eric Hansen, you're up next.
Sorry, it took me a second to find my unmute button. I'm sure you wish.
No worries.
I'm sure you wish you could find the mute button at times. I have two questions. The first one is evaluating your pass rush for the season, and do you think there's still a higher level for them maybe over these last 3 games that they could get to? The second question is kind of an injury question. You lost 3 linebackers right at the start of the season, Moala, Simon, and Leafau. And the thought was that they wouldn't return this season, but how are those guys progressing in their recoveries?
So, pass rush comes from, defensive linemen. It comes from, linebackers. It comes from the secondary, as we've all, talked about. I thought we've gotten, obviously a really solid pass rush. Obviously one of the guys in particular, Isaiah Foskey, is one of the better ones around. And so I think it's one where it's definitely been disruptive. I think sacks are usually how you, look at a pass rush, but we knock the quarterback down a lot. We hurry the quarterback, and that is also a measure of a very good pass rush. So look, we didn't rush the quarterback. We didn't rush him much last week, but when they did go back to throw, he was under duress. And I think that's going to be the case. It's going to have to be the case. So I think we're still emerging. I think there's some young guys there that are getting better each and every week. Losing 3 linebackers is difficult enough. We've lost a couple of wide receivers. Obviously, that's been difficult. Offensive linemen. This has been a year where our guys have just dug down and have answered the call across the board. All of them are making, the kind of progress that our medical staff expects them to make. Look, you get injured here, there's an expectation of rehabilitation. There's an expectation every single day. You don't get a free pass. And we take great care of them. There's great care from our staff, and Rob Hunt leads that. But these kids are making great progress, coming along. Do I see any of them playing this year? No, but I see a lot of them being ready to go, in our summer program and earlier, even our spring program, and for some, even our spring ball. So good progress, but don't see any of them, stepping on the field this year.
Pete Sampson, you're up next.
Brian, we talked to Lorenzo Styles last week, and we were talking about the concept of freshman receivers playing at Notre Dame, and what are the challenges with it? And I asked him, did you hear in recruiting that it's really hard to do it at Notre Dame? And he was like, oh yeah, I heard that all the time from other schools. So I was interested, like, how much do you guys have to push back against that in recruiting? And also, like, what are the biggest challenges for young receivers to play here? Whether that is playbook or just student life, academics, what do you think goes into all that?
Yeah, it's not the playbook. It's certainly not the playbook. It's all the demands that are placed on them on a day-to-day basis in the classroom. And then, to compete here, obviously, on a day-to-day basis, the standards that they have to go by. Look, I mean, we haven't reinvented anything here that makes it more complicated from that standpoint, or we're not doing our job. We've got to get the players ready to play if they're capable of handling it. And so, that narrative is tired a bit in recruiting. And if you're using that as your crutch to recruit against us, you haven't dug deep enough to find out that if you're mentally ready and you're disciplined and you're organized and you've got the talent, we're going to play as a freshman. So I think the biggest challenge, to underline it, would be the balancing of, the academic work. And, look, when they sit in the classroom, it's all 5-star academicians. I mean, those kids are all 5 stars. And then when they come over here, they're being challenged by, the best football players too. So they've got a lot on their plate the entire day. And those that are able to handle both ends of that are generally the ones that are able to play early.
As a reminder, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function. John Bryce, you're up next. Go ahead.
Hey, Brian, I wanted to ask you real quickly about Sibo Flemister. Did he get banged up this week in practice, or is he available this weekend?
He got banged up in practice.
Okay, so he'll be out this weekend?
Yeah, it looks like he's not going to be able to answer the bell.
Thank you.
Tim Priester, you're up next.
Brian, if you don't see Brennan Armstrong this weekend, I mean, I would imagine their offense has to change pretty dramatically. What are you I know you don't want to give away exactly what you're doing, but I mean, the preparation for those guys has to be completely different.
Yeah, so we've looked at, some film where Brennan didn't play, and it's there's a lot going on. That they have the transfer from Mississippi State, as I mentioned. They've got two capable quarterbacks, multiple formations. So we have prepared for both. We expect Brennan to play. But yeah, we've had to, certainly prepare, for, plan B. And that's going to be multiple shifts and motions and trying to get outflanked and, using, 2 or 3 different quarterbacks. So that's been part of our preparation as well.
Patrick Engel, you're up next.
Hey, Brian, in looking at Tyler Buckner, I guess to kind of get to the point where he did, even in September or August or whenever you guys decided he had to have a role, what was the kind of growth you needed to see from him, and presumably you saw from, say, the day he arrived on campus until the end of spring practice, given his unique high school career?
Retention, the ability to repeat things, retain information, then repeat it, go out and do that on the field. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that most of the quarterbacks here have to be able to protect themselves first when it comes to protections. And then, obviously accuracy in terms of throwing the football, which he's shown. And then, obviously good decision making. So, he's been able to do that and show it in a consistent fashion. And once there's a consistency in that, and we see that over a period of time, then obviously there's a confidence that this is not, just a good day, or good practice. We can feel like, all right, this is something that's habit forming, and we can expect to see this, whether it's on a practice on Wednesday or a game on Saturday.
And we'll wrap up with Tim O'Malley. Go ahead, Tim.
Coach, going back to Priester's question about if Armstrong plays, if you went through this with Book, I assume he did not have the catalog of running plays that he normally has, Ian Book, when you were protecting his ribs. Is there a tweak in your preparation for Armstrong? Because obviously he would be running, but he might be able to pass and not run with his rib situation.
Yeah, Ian's was a little bit different. That was a laceration of the kidney, which was more problematic for us than actually the ribs. We didn't practice them until Thursday, I believe, of that week. And you're absolutely correct. We did not have a running game for him per se. He did have to run a couple of times, and we were all holding our breath because, as I mentioned, he didn't take any reps until Thursday of that week as we prepared and playing him. So again, a little bit different. That was a laceration, and that required clearance from an internist and a medical professional that had to clear him first before we could even get him on the field. And then it was, obviously managing him and making sure that we didn't put him in harm's way. So a little bit different, but I get the question is still germane to the fact that, when you have an injury like that, running all over the field with reckless abandon, which he does, and that makes him special. One would take notice of that, right? And so, we're going to have to, obviously, if he is playing, cleanly, we want to bring him down to the ground.
Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.